Elohim is king of all the earth, and the fullness thereof belongs to him. He is God. He is the ruler. He is the creator. And therefore, we know that we can easily be sabotaged, but we have to realize why. When we go into 1 Corinthians, in 1 Corinthians, it makes a statement that gods and lords, there be many. There be many gods, Corinthians 8:5. And like I said, as it says, and as the brother mentioned to me, he says, the New Testament is truth, strangely mixed. And it's true. For though there be that are called gods, whether in heaven or on earth, as there be gods many and lords many. So we know there be many gods. There be many lords. Even when we go into St. John, it even goes to explain that the man they call Christ, that he told them that they were gods. St. John 10, 34, it says, I say ye are God. Jesus answered them, is it not written in your Torah, I say ye are gods? Now, is it written there? We can go back into Psalm 82. Psalm 82 clearly expressed, like it says, the New Testament is truth, strangely mixed. You got to understand that about that book. There's certain things that are very clear, and there are other things that are you have to really penetrate to understand where it's misleading you. In Psalm 82, verse 6, I have said ye are God, and all of ye are the children of the Most High, all of us. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. So the point is that we are all gods. Yahweh God has acknowledged that. And therefore, when we go forward, we have to realize, as being gods and goddesses, we have to be able to discern, to make it plain to our own direction. As it says in Jonah, when they were in distress, it was mentioned something in the book of Jonah, Jonah chapter 1 verse. It was written that when they were in great distress, they were told, let every man cry unto his God. You know, because there be gods and there be lords many. So, understanding that, he employed them in their situation of great need. He didn't tell them to call on his God. He said, no, let every man cry to his own individual God. Just maybe we can find some relief because of what Jonah had done and put the circumstances in peril, that we're about ready to perish. So he employed them not to call on his God. He said, man, hey, you got a God? Call on him that your God may save us. Because Jonah has gotten us in trouble. And therefore, because Jonah has gotten us in trouble, we need to know how to get out of this. In Jonah chapter 1, verse 5. Then the mariners were afraid and cried every man unto his God, you know, and cast forth the waters that was in the ship into the sea to lighten it of them. But Jonah was going down into the side of the ship, and he laid and was fast asleep. See, so they were having trouble. But as he says, then the mariners were afraid and cried every man unto his God. Because but Jonah was down in the ship sleeping. It wasn't messing with Jonah. But they saw the circumstances. And this is why when it even goes on to let you know there be gods many and lords many. You know, you got to understand what is your God, who is your God. And even Yahweh God in Exodus chapter 22, he even had told the children of Israel, Exodus 22, 22, Exodus 22, verse 28. And what does it say? Yeah.
Thou shalt not bewail the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people.
Yeah, see, he said, you know, when you look up that word, and he told him about God, he said, you don't revile the gods, you don't curse them, you know, and you don't curse the rulers of your people. He told him. This was a prescribed measure by which we would address that circumstances that would prevail. It got to the point where in Exodus 23, it told us, Exodus 23, verse 13, and in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. He says, we don't mention the names of other gods, because it gives it force. You understand? That's why it says in Micah, in the book of Micah, see, when we understand this, then we comply properly to making sure that our thing stands fast. In Micah chapter 4, verse 5, what does it say?
For all people will walk everyone in the name of his God, and he will walk in the name of Yahweh, our God, forever and ever.
And they say, and we will walk in the name of Yahweh, our God, forever and ever. See, every man. It said all people. It didn't just say, it said all people will walk everyone in the name of his God. So those that have the name of this God, that's the God they walk in. We're going to walk in the name of Yahweh, our God. Because this is what this is all about. The name of our God. Praying to Yahweh. Doing that which is acceptable and meaningful to our God. You understand? And we have to realize that Yahweh God wants us to return in consciousness so that we may what? Better ourselves. And how will we better ourselves? In the name of Yah. Returning to Yah, keeping the commandments of Yah, doing what is expected of us, because Yahweh God wants us to do his name. And therefore, in so acquiring that, we would begin to encourage through knowing, not believing, but knowing the right way. And the right way is what? Keeping the commandments of Yahweh, doing his will. And it says, even in Isaiah 52, he says, now therefore, what have I here, said Yahweh, that my people is taken away for naught. They that rule over them cause them to holler. It says, and my name continuously every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that does speak. Behold, it is I. So we're going to know the name. He said that. As he said, we have forgotten it. He said, you're going to know it. Because, see, it's only one way for us. It's not 100 different ways. It's only one way for us, he says. And in righteousness shall thou be established. You can't be established in no other way. Being sneaky, that's why he said, the remnant of Israel shall not be any iniquity, nor shall any lies be found in their mouth. He said the remnant, that portion where it says Israel should, though Israel be as the sands of the sea, only a remnant, that remnant is going to be pure. That small remnant compared to the multitudes that it had prescribed, it's going to be simple, but they're going to be pure. The utterance, that's why Yahweh say ye to the righteous that all shall be well with you, for you shall eat the fruit of your doings. That's encouragement. And this is what teachers have to do. He said, comfort ye, my people. And this is what we have to do. Happy art thou, Israel. Don't be mad. Don't be mad now that you know the truth. Be happy. Be happy that now you know that you can be about your business. That you don't have to be angry with nobody where it says, and there's a way that seemeth right. It seems right. If you look at it, it's a counterfeit perfect. You could not discern that it is wrong. That's how good it is. And that Christian Christ thing is that of a counterfeit. That, I mean, who? Someone tells you the easiest thing, who ain't gonna take it? Someone says, I died for you, you call on my name, believe I was resurrected, and you're saved. That's all you gotta do. There's no law. And they say the Torah is done away with. How can honor thy father and thy mother, not to commit adultery? Don't murder anybody. How are these laws put away where they are the very pillars by which any foundation of a nation is built on? You can't build a nation on people murdering each other. You can't build a nation on extortion, thievery, because you cause a what? A fermentation of decay. So I'm saying to you is that we should be thankful and ever so grateful that we live in a world where everything is not straight. We can only straighten it out when we understand that that which goes out of the straightness of it is what we discern so that we can bring it back so it can be made straight. And how is that? Knowing the truth. What is the truth? You. Nothing in the New Testament is going to tell you about you. You personally. If you want to find out who you are, you're going to have to find out what they call the Old Testament. Because it talks about you, Israel, being put in captivity because of your what? Disobedience to the law. And this whole planet has been all messed up because Esau has run around meddling in everybody's business, and now he has overthrown himself because his eyes, instead of being in his own borders, he has tampered with everybody's situation, that he has mingled a situation that he can't so much untangle. And therefore, as it says, be not curious how the wicked shall be punished, but rather how the righteous shall be saved. And our salvation is obeying the commandments. Shama'a Yashar Allah, Yahweh Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh Kadah. Hear, O Israel. Obey, Israel. Obey. Who? Yahweh. Who is he? Your God. Yahweh is one. So he's telling you, obey me. Do what I ask you to do. And everything will work out. Because Israel's whole destiny is to receive the Ruach. And you cannot receive that spirit in discourse without circumstances being in harmony. And how you bring about that harmony is by keeping the commandments of Yahweh. We can sit down and have debates, but the debate is nothing if you can't come out with the circumstances by which you can deter the debate and now have total cooperation on an individual basis to a group basis. Because whether we go in as a group or as individuals, we gonna make it. because it's all has been prescribed by Yah. Has nothing to do with the government passing a law or refraining from passing a law. We gonna make this because when you keep the Torah, you on the total commitment and salvation of Yahweh God. It has nothing to do with government. Governments do not run this sun that sits up in the sky. They don't make it shine. They don't make the clouds come out. They can't determine the weather. They can't determine nothing. And if you do get anybody that understand about maybe 50 or many years ago, they did better predicting the weather without satellites. They got satellites now, and they have a hard time coordinating how well the weather's going to be. And now they can see it and can't determine. Because they have offset the very things that are the very foundations of the harmony of this planet. And the way you do it is with your actions. See, most people, they think actions don't have an effect. Yes, it does. When it is perpetual, continuously, and is never refrained from, then it's going to have a positive action has a positive effect. A negative action has a negative effect. And what happened was, when it was told us in Leviticus, what happened to the men that didn't listen to Yahweh God, and what would happen, how the land would spew them out. And it did. And the land spewed them out. The land, they had defiled the land by their misconduct. And therefore the land didn't want nothing to do with them. But see, people don't believe that. The land, the very earth that you stand on is alive. And therefore, if you don't treat it with respect, it gets rid of you. And you think that, no, that can't happen. It says, defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nation are defiled, which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquities thereof upon it. And the land itself vomit out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourn among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled, that the land spew not you out also when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. And that's in Leviticus chapter 18. And I read from starting at verse 24. But if you go in and start reading what the men were incorporating themselves in doing, it caused the land to become defiled. They were sleeping with one another. They had no respect for each other's wives. They had passed the boundaries of total morals. They had totally neglected that. They didn't want to have no strictness by which there would be a moral conduct instituted so that young women and men would not be imposed upon by those that were stronger than them. And things was done that was against nature. And therefore, when it came to judge the people didn't know, because either they was never told that this would bring their end. And it did. It caused the whole collapse of their society. And this is what is going to happen on this whole planet. This whole planet has been defiled. And Yahweh God is going to visit it. And he's going to sit on fire. It says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws. There are natural laws that is just automatically you know. And there are other laws you have to be taught. But at the same time, this earth is defiled. And this earth is going to spew out the inhabitants because they don't want to adhere to the truth. And the truth is right before their eyes. They went up into Jerusalem and sacked it. They took their ornaments and things and hid it and gave us a book. And they told, and they read it and said, there's nothing in there. Well, that book they gave us called the Bible contains the moral laws by which would save any people. It would save this earth. And if man would begin to have a commitment to not only reading it, but putting it in practice. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt keep the Sabbath. Since they went up there and they wanted to find out and they sacked Jerusalem, well, Yahweh God gave them the information. So they gave it to us as though it didn't do them any good, so it ain't going to do us any good, but we're going to give it to them anyway because it has no merit. Well, that which they stole from us, took from us, is what is looking them right in their face that would be their salvation. But because they didn't feel that it served us any, they don't feel that it's going to serve them. So Yahweh God is opening up our eyes, and now we can be retrieved from all the circumstances that's coming into this earth, because our salvation is not going to be determined by our degrees, by our family pedigree, by how much money we have, but it's going to be on our righteousness of keeping the things that have been prescribed by Yahweh himself, given to his prophets. And Yahweh God, he will judge each and every one of us and give us according to what we have done. So may Yahweh God bless each and every one of us. May the Spirit of our God rest upon us. May we love Yahweh God with a great intensity. And may we develop into the perfection of obedience. To obey what? To obey the commandments. May Yahweh bless you forever and ever. Amen.